So every year we have nominations, and of course we have many great candidates for the NP of the Year award. It's always a difficult decision, but this year I'm honored to present the NP of the Year for 2014. So this year's recipient has worked tirelessly to provide specialty of care for individuals who have eating disorders. And this isn't someone who I've had an opportunity to cross paths with, given what I do and what she does, until fairly recently when I had a patient who had been through and continued to work with the eating disorder clinic. And it was very evident the difficulty, both psychosocially and physiologically, of dealing with a 27-year-old who had had an eating disorder since the age of 9, who must present incredible challenges that I can't even come to appreciate because I don't have to work with that population. So it made me really aware of we're always aware of the other specialties out there, but it's a little bit more intimate awareness than I had previously. So this year's individual has been a nurse practitioner since 1977, starting as a family nurse practitioner, and 8 years prior to that had been a registered nurse. She's certified as an eating disorder specialist by the International Association of Eating Disorder Professionals, and her work has been exemplary to the point where she was inducted as a fellow in 2012 into that association. She's co-owner and at the Professional Center for Eating Disorder Management, and has worked to build that as a practice that's very well established in New Hampshire today. In addition to that, she's precepted everybody you can imagine: PAs, NPs, mental health specialists, medical assistants, nurses from all kinds of walks of life. And from the recognitions that came, you could really see that this is something that has impacted people across the board. And as you all know, that there aren't a lot of opportunities for individuals with eating disorders to get the care they need. She also assisted in the development of an eating disorder institute at Plymouth State College and has been adjunct faculty there, working with students as well as lecturing in that environment. And in addition to that, she's been very professionally active, starting from many years ago, working on the Prescriptive Authority and the Public Relations Committee for the Nurse Practitioner Association in New Hampshire. In 1994, she received the Marketing Award for Marketing Advanced Practice Award for developing film, which was called The Art of Healing, and that was something that helped with legislators kind of recognizing what we do. So big impact in that way. She also has been a researcher and co-author on publications, particularly on bone loss and adolescents and young women with anorexia nervosa, and that has been work done with Mass General Hospital as well as Harvard, so has continued to have publications related to that. Additionally, she's presented both locally, nationally, and internationally on this topic. And she's worked with insurance companies to bring to the forefront the need for insurance companies to support payment for patients and individuals who have this kind of issue. So if that's not enough, before that she worked 11.5 years in college health at University of New Hampshire and developed some wellness programs related to general wellness, weight management, a variety of things for that population, and that's the environment in which she became aware of the at-risk population for eating disorders. And even prior to that, she worked in critical care, emergency department, as well as open heart surgery, provided care to a very different population of patients than what we're talking about, and developed some programs for certification for critical care nurses. So it's with great respect, and it's a privilege to present the 2014 Nurse Practitioner of the Year Award to Laura Krause.
So first of all, I just can't tell you how honored I am to have been chosen for this award. And when I consider what I might say to you tonight, it occurred to me that I wanted to share with you what I believe have been the most important lessons I've learned. Get all choked up here. In my career as a healthcare professional. And what I feel to have that has contributed most greatly, I guess, to my career as a family nurse practitioner and a eating disorder specialist. So whether you've recently graduated from a nurse practitioner program or whether you're a seasoned nurse practitioner with many years, I hope some of my words will resonate with you. So I did the math this week and I realized that I've been a licensed healthcare provider for 45 years. Yikes. So it seems like only yesterday I was 14 years old and volunteering in a hospital in Reading, Pennsylvania, filling water bottles and delivering meals and just spending time with patients who didn't get any visitors or they were disoriented or confused. And most of my friends would have thought that work was pretty boring. So up until that time, I always wanted to be an English teacher because I found conjugating sentences very exciting. I was really a good speller, so an English teacher it would be until I started volunteering in this hospital. And at that time, I had the opportunity to experience firsthand the positive impact that I could have on someone who was suffering physically or emotionally. And it wasn't because I knew anything about medicine or about nursing, it was my not knowing. My lack of any medical training made me realize that as a hospital volunteer, all I really had to offer, besides my expertise in delivering water, was myself. And I could bring a positive energy into a patient's room just by smiling. I could calm a disoriented patient by sitting quietly, holding their hand. And I could help someone feel special and significant just by being a patient listener to a story that they may have told over and over again. And don't get me wrong, a quality education is very important, but what really makes any medical provider a truly effective and healthcare professional is not all the degrees and certifications we have. What makes you valuable is when you become the best you can be. And it's when you bring to your patients the qualities of compassion, empathy, honesty, patience, dedication, all wrapped up in positive self-esteem. Positive attitude, positive attitude. Where that came from, I don't know. That's what this is all about, positive attitude. I've been in the position of hiring healthcare professionals for many years, and as you heard, supervising interns and externs for a variety of educational institutions, and I found through that experience that you can't judge a book by its cover. Fancy resumes aren't enough, and I've hired employees who I thought had the best experience and the best education, only to find out that their bedside manner left much to be desired. And patients will leave a practice if they feel disrespected or not heard by a healthcare professional. So it's important to remember when we're on the job that it's not about us. It's all about the patient. And our role is to do no harm, and our role is to help the patient feel comfortable, to feel better physically and emotionally. And this can't happen, for example, if we're bringing our own problems into our conversations with our patients. So that negativity is never okay. So even if you don't feel positive, it's important to act positive. In the mental health field, we say fake it till you make it, right? So as an APRN, you might often be the only person or the first person the patient has had an encounter with that day. You might be forming for that patient the first impression of that medical practice that you're in. And if your first interaction with the patient is a positive one, the likelihood of the rest of that visit being positive is much higher. The patient's having a positive experience, they're more likely to hear and understand medical instructions and advice because they're not being distracted by their negative feelings of fear, resentment, feeling misunderstood or unheard. And sure, it's important to have good clinical skills and knowledge and techniques, but your role is so much bigger than that as a nurse practitioner. Your attitude and your body language can make or break a patient visit. The impact of a positive attitude can be summed up by a quote by Charles Swindoll, who's one of my favorite Christian authors, so I'm just going to read that to your benefit. The longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude to me is more important than facts. It's more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failures, than successes. It's more important than appearance, giftedness, or skill. It will make or break a company, a church, a home. The remarkable thing is, you have a choice every day regarding the attitude you'll embrace for that day. We cannot change our past. We cannot change the fact that people will act in a certain way. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play on the one string we have, and that is our attitude. And I'm convinced that life is 10% what happens to me, and 90% how I react to it. And so it is with you. Hold on a minute. Here we go. So what about body language? When you're with your patients, remember to smile, have good eye contact with them. Don't have your head in a chart or your nose on the computer screen. Introduce yourself at the beginning, maybe shake their hand. It's really, really important to face your patients when you're talking to them. And they should always be the focus of our attention. So now you might be thinking this sounds like a class in professional etiquette. When you leave here tonight, I hope you'll all really feel proud, and I know you will, to be a nurse practitioner. But I also hope you'll leave with a renewed desire to make a real difference in your patients' lives. Anyone can be taught to write a prescription or perform a medical exam, but it takes a special kind of person who can form an immediate connection with a patient by offering a few kind words, a killer smile, and it's this connection that is the basis for any mutually satisfying patient-provider relationship. So I hope you'll all continue to strive to be the best nurse practitioner you can be, but more importantly, I hope you'll strive to be the best you can be. The you that's compassionate, empathetic, honest, patient, dedicated, and above all, a you that always portrays a positive attitude. My long-held belief in the mind-body-spirit approach to medicine has had a strong influence on my career path. For the past 19 years, my focus has been on the multidisciplinary treatment of patients with eating disorders, and helping these patients with devastating diseases as well as their families became and still is my passion. Although May 1st, I retired from clinical practice, I plan to remain involved in educating healthcare professionals, healthcare providers, the general public, through presentations, writing, and professional supervision. The epidemic of eating disorders is destroying the lives of children, adolescents, men and women of all ages, and I challenge you all to learn all you can to detect and refer early patients with signs or symptoms of eating disorders to specialized eating disorder treatment centers or providers. And we are very privileged in New Hampshire to have such a center right here in Bedford. My business partner, Kathy Corkery, is here tonight. She or I would be happy to tell you more about the center if you want to know later. But I've learned so much over the years from my mentors and my professional colleagues, but most of all, I've learned from the thousands of patients on their road to recovery with whom I have worked. They have forever changed my life. So in closing, I'd like to thank the selection committee, first of all, for this honor, my past and current colleagues and staff at the Center for Eating Disorders Management, my longtime business partner, Kathy Corkery, and her husband, who's been a big part of our practice as well. I'd also like to thank Cynthia Cody, who's here tonight, and she started the Center for Eating Disorders Management 26 years ago. And I'm really happy to have my family here. My husband, Alan, and we're going to get all emotional now. And Christopher and his wife, Beth Ann, and Allison and her husband could not be here tonight. Her husband couldn't. And Michael and Andrea are here. And they have supported me over the years when I was working those late night hours at the office, picking the kids up late from school. You know the drill, you've all done it, right? I'm also thankful to my therapy dog, Lizzie, who for the past 10 years has provided as much therapy for me as she has for all of her patients. And most of all, I'm just thankful to God for giving me this wonderful career that I've had and showing me what His purpose was in my life. Thank you.